Okay, it's time for oh Lord. She's putting this thing up talking about this disclaimer. Y'all know what happens when she put the disclaimer up. Come on with it.
Copyright disclaimer. Under Title 17 U.S.C. Section 107, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
Okay, guys. So before we go into our tea in the streets for today, I do want to give a quick little trigger warning, just because what we're talking about today is going to be a more serious topic. It's not recent news, but it's recently come up again. We're going to be talking about something that deals with abuse with children and exploiting children. And so I just want, everyone to kind of proceed with caution as we talk about this.
And then also, if you have kids in the room and you're listening by your TV, your monitors or whatever, please be mindful because this is a sensitive topic. However, I think an important,
very important
topic for us to talk about.
And goes right along with our mission here at LV with Val and LNV Enterprise Resources. So there has recently been a 4-part documentary that came out on HBO Max, now called Max, about the Nickelodeon shows created by Dan Schiender. And this especially hit home for me because I grew up watching. These shows raised me. Zoe 101, iCarly, Amanda Show, Victorious was one of my favorite, especially us as performers. You know what I mean? I think we really enjoyed Victorious. And so since 2017, people have been talking about Dan Schiender, the creator of these shows.
Well, even further back than that, because
in Hollywood,
I raised my kids on Nickelodeon. I mean, those were shows that we enjoyed looking at. So
right.
Go ahead.
Yeah. And so news kind of came out not like a few years ago and this conversation kind of started where Dan Schiender is kind of seen as just this really, he takes advantage of the crew members and of the staff or the what is it called? The actors on the show. And there's always this weird theme of feet in his shows. He always has it deals with feet. Everyone has their feet out. They're kissing feet, touching feet, and and his weird kind of interests come through on the screen. There's also a crew member with the name of Brian Peck who was convicted of SA with an actor. And in this 4-part series, it came forward that it was actually Drake Bell of Drake and Josh who was the one. And just horrendous. The worst things you can think of was done to this young man, and that was before Drake and Josh even started. Before they filmed the pilot.
Actually is court. It's in
the
court.
It's not alleged.
It's
this
not
happened.
Alleged. This actually happened.
He is registered as a MEX offender.
Yes.
And
why is it Mexico?
Exactly. Because and what's crazy, you guys, is actually after he was registered, Disney hired him on Sweet Life of Zack and Cody.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's not, I think Nickelodeon probably had the worst of it, but this is all of Hollywood. And there's conspiracy theories that allegedly all of this Nickelodeon nonsense is kind of linked to Epstein Island thing.
Wow.
I think it's connected. Yeah.
It's just,
I feel like everything is connected for sure.
Oh, yeah.
So sad. Can you run that?
There's no video. Yeah.
Okay.
Because there's so much.
There's a lot.
There's a lot.
4 episodes, 45 minutes.
Well,
each.
I can tell you, I love listening to YouTubes and different things out there. And so when I saw it, I was like, oh my God, it just kind of gripped my heart because you think about how many young actors that started out, they were they were just so much life. And then over a period of time, you just started to see them come into this really dark place, or either they just kind of wasn't there. It made you wonder why so many child stars end up being so different. And so now they're finally letting it out. But I think it was always out. I think people just chose to look the other way at the detriment of the kids. And so it goes back to our conversation when I first came in, Molly. We were talking about, is the system really set up for the kids to be successful?
Yeah.
And so right here kind of plays into that. You guys have any feedback on this story?
Yeah, I think it's something that you see a lot, and especially now it's coming forward that all of these child stars that we grew up with, not just in Nickelodeon, but in other, and
shows
were featured in other things, in movies and shows and music.
Yes.
Right. slowly, bit by bit, it's uncovering the abuses that have been done to these
kids,
to children.
To
And so to me, it begs the question, like, is there even an ethical way for children to be in that large of a spotlight? Because to me, what I think is when you have a child who is in these spaces, they are automatically like exposed
Yes.
to so many adults. And even the most protective parent, like I question whether or not there is the capacity when they are that exposed.
Well, I guess, and I'm glad you brought up the parent, because the first thing I would think, where is the parent? But I think the parent lives so much in their children's spotlight, something that they couldn't probably achieve. So they're pushing their children and not kind of walking with the blinders, because you have to see inappropriate touch on my child. You have to see certain gestures and certain comments. So it makes me wonder, what's your thought?
Well, so I actually, I have a friend who nannies for a former child star for Disney Channel.
Oh, wow.
And so they've talked a lot about like
What's going on?
Yeah, and I mean, it's like you said, like it is all connected. It was the same exact kinds of things happening and the same kinds of people, and that's something that like impacted like every single child star that was on any TV show.
Oh my God.
And I know that as a parent, she's like really protective of her kids because she saw like what you were just talking about, like the parents that were willing to allow things to happen in order for careers to be launched, for like that kind of thing. So,
You know, it's just, it's heartbreaking. I'm sorry, Brother Parker, you
I
have
think
anything to say on that?
many of the parents had to give their children over to some of these.
Some of the parents were right there with
Yeah.
it. They didn't give them over. They
so-
gave them over,
I
but they
mean,
were right there.
I coached as a young kids,
A
young
coach,
men,
yeah.
as you know, and the parents will rally around. They would just
Send their
turn them
kid.
over to whoever is
Their
training them or whatever the case may be. And I think too, it happening more often than not.
Well, I see what you're
That
saying.
The parents are just giving the kids over to.
Well, and what came out in
I
this,
liked it.
in this documentary too was that they were really playing into, and this is something that a lot of like traffickers do, is they'll promise you success. They'll give you all these compliments. You're so great. You're so talented. I can do so much for you. And because Dan Schneider could do that,
Yes,
he
they-
could, he brought Amanda Bynes. He gave her own show after being on all that. And,
and a beat.
yeah.
That wasn't even alleged.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, and then with the Brian Peck situation, so Drake Bell's father was heavily involved,
Yeah.
very heavily
Oh, I was
involved.
so mad about that.
Yeah.
And what happened was
He was right there
He
with
was
him.
right
all
there.
the time.
All
What
the
happened
time.
is Brian started getting to Drake
Yeah.
and was saying, like
Brainwashed
your
him.
dad
Yes.
is like taking your money.
Yes.
You need a different
Mhm.
manager, and he drove a wedge between them.
Yeah.
And that's like what traffickers do. This is quite literally human
Yeah.
trafficking
Yes.
right in front of our eyes.
Yeah. And literally, that's exactly how they do it, because they play off on the children, making the children not trust their parent, and then they play off on the parent, saying that the child is not really focused. So the parent is beating the child down, saying, "Come on now, come on, this is a chance of a lifetime." So you're
Yeah.
drawing a wedge, all for what?
And they have so much control over your career, so the
Yes.
child feels, I mean, even just as adults, if your boss is like saying, "Oh, if you do this for me, I'll give you a raise, or I'll give you a
Yeah.
promote, or you won't lose your job." Simply,
Right.
you won't.
They
lose
were
your
saying
job.
that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He got sued for hostile work environment. Dan Schneider.
did.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But before we move on, and I know we have to go for the sake of time,
Mhm.
can we talk about what he did to even the workers, where he had to split?
Oh yeah. He
Yes.
split
He,
a salary.
he split a salary, first of
two
all,
women.
of two women.
The
Yeah.
only two women
On his
Right.
in the
own-
writer team.
Yes.
Yeah.
He split. They couldn't. He couldn't even give them. They're making millions
Yeah.
of dollars on this.
Mhm.
He couldn't even give them their own salary.
Mhm.
What
Yeah.
he said was, "Okay, you guys come on here. The only way I'm going to hire you guys if you're willing to take split your salary."
That's crazy.
Horrible, because
Horrible
because
person.
we just want a chance, and this is human nature. I want a chance to get this on my resume,
Yeah.
be successful,
Experience.
the experience.
Yeah.
They didn't think that should have been red
Red
flags
flag.
right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
there. So pay
Yeah.
attention to your gut feeling.
And times were different then too. I think people.
but I think it's still going on now.
Oh,
Today.
Yeah.
yeah.
I think it's still going on
It's
now.
The way
going on
people
now.
see things, I think, is different. I think people are more aware than they were back then.
I think
Yeah.
I want to push back. I think that people saw it then,
Mhm.
but I think that they were not in, or they felt they weren't in a place to really speak up.
Right.
And so I think what your culture, your generation have done is you guys are not quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're standing on the tables, you're screaming, you're yelling. You guys have helped me through my healing, your generation. But I do believe that we saw it.
Yeah.
We just didn't have the tools
Yeah.
at the time to speak up because it was such a norm.
Right.
It was
You
just
know,
so prevalent.
it was just what it is. So
Yeah.
I don't think that there were people there that didn't see what was going on. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah.
Would you agree, Lawrence? Brother Carter?
If you don't have anything good to say, shut your mouth.
Okay. So I love Brother Carter. He understands because when he's quiet like that, guys, you know that it could be either an F-bomb, it could be something else, it could be
Yeah.
we can get in trouble because he's
I'm trying to
passionate
let
about
your radio station stay on.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And it's not that he's sitting up here like he doesn't have any feelings about it. It's because he cares so much. There will be no filter. So I love you for sitting
And you
there.
know, and I'm comical also, and this is nothing to be comical about.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think people
Mhm.
that are comical that's their way of dealing with something that is also
Yeah.
painful and hurtful. So we tend to use comic sometimes. But I don't even think this
But,
is
we're not here to psychoanalyze me today. so-
okay.
We're not.
We're not. One thing I do.
Let's
Yeah.
read some of these
One thing I
comments.
do want to mention is that I was so mad about the fact that Drake's dad warned the mom about Brian, and the mom still let him be like
Oh my
around him.
God.
And I was like, this mom, I was so mad
She
at that mom
refused to listen to her husband.
to her husband.
She thought
It was
about the
probably
money.
Yeah.
She thought about the
Yeah.
money.
And they had a tumultuous relationship, so she probably didn't want to believe him because
But it's more to it than that, because just think about it. Children being abused by family members for years and years and
Yeah.
years prior to all of this happening. So this is nothing new. And parents and the children tell the parent, and parents say, "Child, go sit down somewhere. You know my brother ain't did nothing to you like that."
Mhm.
So this been happening forever.
Right. That's why I
Excellent.
said that when we brought this up. I don't think that this is anything new. I think
Yeah.
when we were coming up in our generation, and even before us, my parents,
Mhm.
it was really not something that we had the tools nor the ability to really speak up
Yeah.
about. It was just brushed under the rug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think culturally too, there's been a shift. Like if like back in the 70s, like you had the hard rockers with their groupies who were like 12, 13, and people were like, this is normal and fine.
Right.
These are, grown women. Like that's how they perceive
That's how they
it.
perceived
Right.
it,
And
exactly.
then at us now, like the cultural norms have
Shift.
progressed,
Mhm.
shifted. And so now we're looking back and be like, those were children.
Those were
Like
children.
what's going on here?
Something's off here.
Yeah.
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 All right,
We're gonna
let's read some of these comments.
Yeah.
Ed B is telling us that the Dan Schneider doc was jarring. Rewatching the shows as an adult made me see so much that passed over my head as a kid. Yes.
Yes, so true.
Amina Yui is saying it's by design. It's crazy to see the adult themes that were in these children's shows. Rewatching, you can see that there was another viewer group intended.
Yes. Yes.
And they actually also mentioned this in the documentary that Dan Schneider passed everything through the executives, the writing, the
They
placings,
approved
whatever.
all
Like,
it all.
okay, if they did, why?
Well,
Yeah.
Why?
Because it was a whole nother agenda, and it goes
Yes.
back to sex trafficking.
Mhm.
In my opinion, that's just my opinion. I think it all leads back to money.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
love the
I bet
success.
R. Kelly's in jail somewhere. Like,
You?
why y'all got me locked up all of
They needed a scapegoat.
Yeah, yeah,
They
literally.
love a scapegoat.
Yes.
To provide more context, Dan Schneider no one ever came forward and said that they were essayed or anything.
Right.
It was just more inappropriate
Appropriate.
workplace environment. The two men there was another man, and I don't remember his name because he's stupid. Anyways,
Yes.
there was a lot of child pee that was found from him, and a lot of
Unsurprising.
photos and things like that. And so him and Brian Peck did get legal consequences.
Well, the thing, and I know we need to move on, and I'm loving these comments. I really do want to read a couple of more. The thing is that whether they would, because money can, and we were talking about that earlier, you know, with money, you can kind of wash things away, you know, depending on what kind of lawyer, how much you're going to work it out. Let's just be honest here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we got a lawyer in the house. We have an attorney in the house. So she understands we get this here thing. So depending on how much money you have, there is a way to kind of change the narrative or make a judgment kind of look a certain way. Am I wrong on that?
No, that's
you know what I'm saying? So even though he was never quote unquote with that, this is the charge he walked away with because one, he had to pay some things off. I mean, how does that work?
You mean like a settlement?
Yes. And then how do you know, because if you go in and you can throw this out of no, we're not going to talk about this. No, you don't have enough evidence. So this goes away.
Yeah.
So when the jury finally puts their
So, oh gosh, that's a very complicated question. I'm like, how do I distill that into something like very succinct? So that,
just make it real small.
But so a lot of times whenever there are accusations against these high profile people for SA, for trafficking, for anything, related to abuse of children, abuse of women, abuse of people in general, right? There's usually like two legal tracks that happen. One is in the criminal realm where they're facing potential criminal charges, incarceration, all of that. Typically, there's also a side-by-side civil case that is taking place.
Okay.
In criminal cases, the standard for conviction is very high. It's proof beyond a reasonable doubt. And there is exactly what you said earlier, which is there is the reality that if you have money at your disposal, then you're hiring an attorney who's going to draw that process out, who is going to
Reasonable
exploit
doubt.
every single thing
and appealing.
So there is the prospect of when you're going up against these very powerful people, that a criminal case is going to drag on long and long. It's also, people don't think also about like the impact it has on the victim.
There you go. They're banking on that.
Yes, they bank on that.
They have to show up.
That they have to show up, they have to talk. Yes, there are some protections for people who are in abusive situations or who are alleging that they are the victims of abusive situations. But generally, like, you're asking these victims to relive their trauma over and over and over again, and then have it be public record. Right. So that's what's happening on the criminal side. On the civil side, the standard of proof is much lower. So generally in civil cases, it's like preponderance of the evidence. So if there's like a plus 50% chance that it happened, right? Like, okay, we can find in favor of your case. So the people who are going after these high profile individuals, right, they have a better chance of success in a civil case. And the person whom they're going after then has a bigger incentive to try and settle that case before it gets to court. Right. So they're like, okay, I'm going to pay out however much money
I got to do to make this look like this.
And so then what happens is you have these settlements, again, that generally happen in the civil side, but as a function of that, they you can't talk about an agreement. Is that the criminal case is not going to be pursued. Right. They'll wrap that up neatly in a bow in a variety of different manners. So
man, you really got to have her in the court right now.
I know. But you know what? I know, but you know what? I just want to. Okay, no, I love it. I want to. Do y'all see the teaser that's getting ready? No, don't feel bad, because this was such an important topic. You know, when you have someone, and let me just go ahead and tell them what you do. I told y'all we have a lawyer in the house. And she dealt with, come on.
Yeah, so I was a lawyer.
She's still a lawyer.
License, but I still my license, but I don't practice anymore. But I represented children in delinquency cases. So I represented kids between the ages of 10 to about 18 on anything from common like shoplifting charges up to murder charges.
Yes.
And
So she was all in the court. She understands how that goes. So
Mhm.
I didn't want you guys, I felt like this was also, and I went to you for that reason on this, because I didn't want to just brush over it. It was such a sensitive topic. However, I wanted to put some content because those were still kids, you know, and there were adults that were responsible for those kids. And there are still adults out here that are even that were probably went through this, and that I just want to let you know that we care here. Take me out of this here before. At the Love and Victory Show, we care.
The sad thing about it is that it's going to get even worse. And I hate to speak that because it's so broad right now. Everything is open. And so people are doing more and more crazier things.
Well, I think because it's open, Brother Carter, I really do
know what I
believe,
mean when I say open?
I do know what you mean, but I think because it's everything is okay, I think that people are more sensitive to that. So they're going to speak up. Where in our time, we were not able to speak up.
Well,
so I
we
just
hope
pray
they
that
do.
we do what we do, and people speak
the
up.
media make it look like everything is okay.
They do.
Yeah.
They will. So come on with some of these comments.
We're going to read a couple more comments and then we're going to move on.
We have from Ed. He's saying, sadly, children always lose when there are power dynamic push in place between adults.
Yes,
that's very true.
100%.
We have Austin Nathan saying, controlling over someone is never a good idea. It never is.
Never.
And Elizabeth McPherson says they brainwash them. They brainwash children. Well, not exactly, right? It's like a kind of manipulation. What have you seen?
Well, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I think that it is, and then you can come back in. I do think that it's a form of brainwashing. I'm gonna tell you why. Because if a parent is constant, someone that you trust, I trust my mom, I trust my dad, I would trust my aunts, you know, my uncles, and they're telling me, come on, you got to get this, you got to hit your lines, you got to do this. That is a form of brainwashing because I don't want to let them down. Not everybody get this opportunity, so I don't want to let them down. Then I have the producers and all the other people that are working on set saying, come on, if you do this, you can get this. So that is, in my opinion, a form of brainwashing. So I would agree with her somewhat.
Yeah,
Fame
I think
and success too plays a big role.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You were getting ready to say something?
Oh, no, I was going to agree with you in the sense that if you think of brainwashing in terms of just manipulation.
Yes.
That's
Yes,
the word
like
I would
there's-
bring up.
Yeah,
Manipulation.
it's calculated
Yes.
manipulation.
Very
right?
calculated.
Because these are people, especially at that level,
Yeah.
who are generally like practiced at driving those wedges, at creating a sense of trust and a sense of control over the situations.
100%.
And that's one of the things I wanted to relay back to what Abby was saying about the fact that Dan Schiender may not have been, you know, formally convicted or
well, I'm waiting on Amanda.
But right. But even so, like the fact that he created this environment of control, I think that's the red flag.
There you go.
That is the red flag, because abuse of children in what I have learned through the training that I've received is abuse of children is usually related to control.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. But that's abuse, period. Whether you're a child or adult,
exactly.
It is in control because you're afraid to speak. You can't say something. So they start working on your mind and different forms and fashions. So
they know what you want. They know your weaknesses.
Yes.
And they prey on it.
They prey on it.
That's exactly what Brian did to Drake.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So we're going to move on.
Oh, this was a great.
This was I really wanted to talk about this because this is, you know, like I said, it hits home. I grew up on these shows. I still follow a lot of those actors today.
Yes.
I'm mad.
Yeah, and I'm mad and I feel hurt too.
Yeah.
You know?
Someone was saying on TikTok, and we write at dawn when you say Drake, and we go, because it's true. Like whenever you need us to go get Brian for you, we will. Like Stephanie, she said, we got the $15 person. We can pay them to go get Brian.
There you go. Yes.
We're going to give an update. We have been talking about Princess Kate.
Yes.
So I'm going to play a quick video for you. There's an update on that.
I wanted to take this opportunity to say thank you personally for all the wonderful messages of support and for your understanding whilst I've been recovering from surgery. It has been an incredibly tough couple of months for our entire family, but I've had a fantastic medical team who have taken great care of me, for which I'm so grateful. In January, I underwent major abdominal surgery in London, and at the time, it was thought that my condition was non-cancerous. The surgery was successful. However, tests after the operation found cancer had been present. My medical team therefore advised that I should undergo a course of preventative chemotherapy, and I'm now in the early stages of that treatment. This, of course, came as a huge shock, and William and I have been doing everything we can to process and manage this privately for the sake of our young family. As you can imagine, this has taken time. It has taken me time to recover from major surgery in order to start my treatment. But most importantly, it has taken us time to explain everything to George, Charlotte, and Louis in a way that's appropriate for them and to reassure them that I'm going to be okay.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, we found Kate.
We found
We found Kate.
She's
So,
sick.
you know, we found Kate because we were not gonna let loose until they showed us where Kate was.
Yeah,
Now,
see, they was listening to the Love and Victory show. They say,
they know
look here, we got to find Kate
Yeah.
because
Okay, maybe we were coming for that.
is not gonna let this go. Now, with that,
you
being
know, I just went against my scripture I read. You know,
yeah, what was
humbling
it?
yourself in the sight of God.
Yeah.
And talk about we did something. You know?
Well, I think after.
I do think that the Love and Victory show and shows like this on YouTube, Facebook, social media, all of those platforms did have a
We
play.
contribute.
We've had a play into the palace saying, "Okay, stop. We're not feeding into your crap anymore."
Mhm.
Yeah.
I do have a. First of all, I want to say this. My heart goes out to her. I pray that she survives this cancer
Yes.
thing. But my thing is that if she's going through all of this, this is to the palace. Well, my prayer goes out to Kate, to her children. Notice I didn't say William, to her children, and I didn't say the palace, because how dare you guys? If she's going through all of this, you prop her up.
Mhm.
And she is fighting for her life, and she has to come out and dispel all your lies, because she didn't lie. Y'all first put a lie out there saying that she is the one that doctored this photo where you put several lies out. You guys also came out and said it was definitely not cancer when that was all coming. You did all of these things, and now you put her out. And if you notice the camera, they're filming her. She's way away. They're way away in the camera because you can see her hair kind of blowing in the wind. And so my question to you,
you've seen all of that.
oh baby, I'm
And
serious.
she looks very skinny.
Yeah, she looks. I'm just so disgusted. I couldn't even imagine my husband knowing that I'm going through something. I'm thinking of, I got young children. My life is flashing before my eyes, and I have to get up here to make everybody else feel good that he can't get up and stand up for me and say, I'm sorry right now, my wife, because they are public figures, my wife can't come out here, but I'm going to stand up for her and for the family right now. At the beginning, it took how many months? And it took how many people? I'm just, ugh.
But didn't they have people saying that maybe they killed her or something?
They done said, but they allowed all of that.
The conspiracy is
Could
wild.
Can I say this to you, Lauren? Don't use the K word.
Unalive.
Unalive.
Unalive. Okay.
Unalive her.
So I this is my whole thing.
Outed her.
Yes, there you go. Just nothing else. Nothing else. Can you imagine that we are, or I'm going through something like that, and you're going to allow all of this to go on, and you can't get up and stand up and speak for me? You're going to force me? And he's not even standing next to her. Come on, guys. He's not even.
He should have been in the video with her. Yeah.
Video.
It shows you right there the type of relationships that they have in the palace.
It's all fake.
It's
So I'm still
It's
not
for the
done
image.
with it. I'm still give me more. So I still want. We found her, but now I'm digging.
You
for
want
more.
Yeah, exactly.
I want
Are you
updates.
sure you're okay, Kate,
Are
Catherine?
you sure? Okay, give me a red and white flag.
Let us know.
Is it okay to say if it was me, they would have seen my backside?
What you mean,
What?
brother Carter?
You,
Kiss it.
What Well, you done told that to who?
To the media.
Well, the media
To the
didn't
media.
make her get out there. It started.
No, asking about her. Asking about you.
Why? You are.
Okay.
That's the vice. See, y'all, I gotta
So,
break this down.
Is he saying like if they're asking for you, but you don't want them to know yet, Brother Carr is gonna say,
Well, he
"Look
should-
at my back."
The only reason they keep asking about me is
Mhm.
because all of the lies are coming out.
So what you want me to do?
I think in the beginning when them lies hit,
Yeah.
as a man, you gonna
What
get out
William
there.
should have done?
First of all, William shouldn't have let his wife take all
We'll
that
be here for
hit.
2 hours if
Yeah.
we talk about this.
He shouldn't have even.
No. In the short version, what should he have done?
He should have been a man.
Or do what?
He should have been a man and said, "You know what? My wife is going." What would you have done?
No, I want to know what you saying.
Yeah,
What
he should have
William
been in all the
done?
pictures, even in the
What
picture with the
should've done?
children.
He should have
Yeah.
been on the pictures. We're still
I
together.
just
Or
want to
he
know.
should have
What,
taken the fall for
soon as
donkey.
Yeah,
it came out,
something.
what should he have done?
As soon as it came out, he should have showed his face.
You-
And he should have
And
stood
said
up.
what?
What would you have said?
I don't know. I don't
You
know.
know
Like
I'm trying
maybe
to
give space to my wife or
You
something.
give us some
Yeah.
space.
We're dealing with something. We're dealing with something as a family.
as a family.
Yeah.
You
We
and-
will
Keep your
we will
distance.
give you guys information as it comes.
Yes, I am. Because
And so I want to know what should he have done in the
he
short
should have
form?
brought his short form self up there and said, "I'm sorry, guys. We're not prepared to give a full statement.
Yeah.
My wife is going through something. Our family is going through something. Please respect our space."
Yeah,
And
but
in
where
time-
is she? Where is Kate?
Okay, but we're going to get there. So in time, we will come back with when we are more prepared.
I understand
and
all of
ready to
that, sir,
discuss.
but where is Kate?
Okay, so well, right now she cannot.
Somewhere in the palace recovering.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, so we love it. That's
We
good.
understand all you're saying, sir, but where is she?
Okay, well, they heard you say that last week, and they said we don't want to hear Brother Carter. So we gonna make her come out here and do a video. Give me a high five,
And
baby.
so that's why I told you they would see my backside. I
'Cause
told
you
that's
the- you the
with
talk-
all that going on. That's it. Well, y'all don't want to listen.
Mhm.
Kiss it now.
All right.
If you don't listen, you kiss it.
Only for the Love and Victory show with Val. We're still not getting off of this. Because William, you're gonna either step up to be a man, Palace, all your lies is gonna get uncovered. Because I'm still coming back every week.
All right.
And we will.
And we